2 years ago, in September of 2017, we held our first service as NorthWinds Church. We began with no money in the bank, but a belief that God had a plan for us to be a bright light in this community. A couple of the verses that we hung on to that year are found in Ephesians 3, and they say that God is able to do immeasurably more than all that we ask for or could imagine. As we look back on the last couple of years, we say without any hesitation that God has done immeasurably more than we asked for or could have imagined. 2018 was designated as the year of opportunity, and it was in this year that we hosted our first Super Bowl party as an outreach for teens in our area. We held 2 services for Easter with a breakfast in between, and we had an outdoor movie night in the summer for children. We also hosted in the fall our first trunk or treat event for the community. And as we prepared for 2019, we felt strongly that this should be the year of ownership. We wanted the church family to own their faith, to own their part in the ministry. And we also looked forward to owning the NorthWinds facility, which we had been leasing. Our leadership team had been in conversations for over a year with the Cornerstone Fund, which is the lending arm of Converge, the conference with which we are affiliated. In those conversations, they kept telling us that approval would take a long time, but God miraculously opened up the door for us to purchase the NorthWinds facility at the end of May. Even before purchasing, we knew that we would need to figure out ways to open up space for our children's ministry. But we really began having those discussions in earnest once the purchase was complete. And we're excited to present to you a plan which creates the capacity for us to increase our ministry opportunities and impact. Our lack of space in the children's wing has made learning more challenging. And the last thing we want is for it to be difficult for our children to learn about Jesus. The plan we're presenting more than doubles the space for our children's ministry. It moves the nursery to the same side of the building as all the other children, and it opens up space for our student ministry. All of these plans that we are presenting, they have been thought out in light of a larger 10-year plan, which, if the Lord wills, would see us build a new worship center on the south side of our current facility. So without further ado, let me share with you our plans for expansion. We're approaching this project in phases. Our goal in phase number 1 is to dry in as much as possible. When we talk about drying something in or drying in an area, we're talking about completing the work that is necessary to keep the weather out and begin working on the inside. The areas we would look to dry in are in addition to the kids' wing, which I'll show you in more detail in a minute, the overhang section found on the north end of the building, and then in addition to the northeast portion of the building, which would be used as a storage area. An exterior view of our current facility shows the worship center with the kids' wing attached to the south side. The floor plan of the kids' wing gives us 3 usable areas: a 143 square foot check-in area, a 240 square foot treehouse area. Treehouse is for those who are potty trained and haven't yet started kindergarten. And then finally, a 374 square foot warehouse area, which is used for those in kindergarten through 5th grade. As part of our research, we found that 35 to 50 square feet of space is recommended for creating a proper learning environment for children. Unfortunately, we frequently have less than 15 square feet of space per child. So the plan we're presenting is to build an addition onto our kids' wing, which will provide adequate learning space. As you look at the layout, you'll see that the proposed addition will significantly increase the classroom size of every age group. Once we have completed phase 1, which again, as a reminder, is simply to dry in as much space as possible, we're going to move on to phase 2. Phase 1 consists of a decent amount of work that will be done by contractors, which we will hire. But as we transition into phase 2, we will be working together as a church family to finish the interior of the kids' wing. That's the area we'll focus on. This will consist of things such as building interior walls, running electric, installing insulation, hanging and finishing the drywall, painting, installing the flooring, and things such as that. Once we complete phase 2, we will, as long as the funds are available and we're ready to move forward, we'll move on to phase number 3, which will once again have us working as a church family to do the interior work of finishing the overhang area for our student ministry and eventually having a kitchen. We will also do the small amount of work necessary to make the storage area usable. Phase 4 is almost a project of its own. So we're letting you know right up front that we'd like to see this happen, but that there's a lot of legwork that will need done before Phase 4 can happen. And Phase 4 has us creating commercial bathrooms if it's at all possible for us to do so. We mentioned this earlier, but it's important to keep in mind that the whole reason for this project is to increase our opportunities to effectively minister to people. Completing these expansion projects will allow us to be more effective in ministering to children, to teens, and it will even open up the opportunity for us to add seating in our worship area. Now let's take a moment to talk about the financial picture. Thanks to God's blessing, the faithful giving of the church family, and wise stewardship from our leadership team, we have saved up the first $40,000 for this project. We continue to get quotes for the project, but we've spent a decent amount of time as a leadership team trying to fine-tune some numbers, which leads us to believe that this project will cost between $90,000 and $100,000. Now, if you do some quick math, you'll know that while it's great to have the first $40,000 for the project, we're still $50,000 to maybe $60,000 short of the goal of having enough funds to be able to just complete the phases. There are two ways to close this gap. The first way to close the gap is to just wait longer. Since we've been able to save $40,000 in 2 years, and if the same pattern of giving continues, we would be ready to complete this project in approximately 2.5 years. The other way to close the gap is to come to you, the church family, and seek additional giving. We really don't believe the Lord wants us to simply wait 2.5 years to start this project that allows us to more effectively minister to our children, to our teens, and we believe that the church family is ready to get behind a project like this. We're reminded of the words of Jesus in Matthew 5, which say, "Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moths and vermin destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where moths and vermin do not destroy, and where thieves do not break in and steal." We're talking about investing eternally. So we're asking you to do 3 things. Number 1, talk as a family about it, what it means to invest eternally. Maybe this is something you've never discussed before, but it's very important that as a family you're on the same page. Number 2, pray about an amount to give in addition to your regular giving. And then number 3, get a pledge card from NorthWinds, fill it out, detach it, and return it. There are basically 3 pledge options. Number 1, you can give a one-time gift towards this project. Each gift that is given will be added to the $40,000 that is currently saved, and it'll allow us to move forward in a more timely manner with the project. The second pledge option is to give an additional weekly or monthly gift above what you're currently giving. Over the course of time, these weekly or monthly gifts will add up in such a way that it will allow us to complete additional phases of the project when there's enough money. And the final option is to not only give a one-time gift, which would be added to the $40,000 at the beginning of the project, but also then to commit to an additional weekly or monthly gift as well. It's important to note that the commitment that you're making is for a year, and it is a good faith intention to give, not an absolute obligation. If your financial situation changes, that's understandable. As I wrap up this video, I just want to say thank you for considering investing eternally in the lives of the children, the teens, and the adults who will be reached by the increased ministry opportunities that this expansion project provides. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to talk to me or any of the leadership team. Then please consider taking the step of talking with your family, praying about what to give, and then filling out and returning a pledge card. We'd like to get these cards back by Sunday, September the 22nd, if at all possible. Thank you for your time, and God bless.